Today we're going to discuss marketing. Whenever we start thinking about marketing, you want to know, or the first question you want to ask are, who are our customers? Who is it that we're targeting whenever we're sharing the message? Are we sharing our message to physicians or other healthcare providers? Or perhaps we're sharing it for the patients that we want to bring into our practice? You have to think about that model because when we're marketing, those could be the same messages or they might be different, but you have to think about who it is you're actually marketing to as you set up your plan. Now, what is marketing? Again, you got to know who the customers are. So this story, this link here, the prescription drug ad, talks about the pharmaceutical industry. And if we want to think about this, in the 1980s, there's a story of a marketing exec that said, why are we not targeting our consumers? If we want to sell these drugs to our consumers, why are we not marketing to them versus just trying to market to the physicians? And in the 1980s, that's when that started. And we see that all the time now where commercials all the time are selling different drugs to consumers directly. Why would it be any different than what it is that we do in our profession? Why are we not selling our services and letting the general population know what it is that we do? As it is, so many doctors don't really understand what physical therapy is and what we do. But what do you think our patients know about what it is that we do and how we can help them? So check out this ad talking about the pharmaceutical industry and what it's done. And if you look at the numbers, so in 1985, so just a couple years after this started, they had $360 million in revenue. And by 2006, there were $5 billion on direct consumer marketing. So they, tripled, quadrupled the number over the years of how much dollars they were putting into marketing to the consumer directly. And we can see that in a huge uptick. Patients go in asking, hey, I want that new medication that I saw on TV. I think that might be helpful for me. So there's definitely some science that goes on behind marketing pharmaceuticals. I want you to watch this YouTube video talking about the science behind this. So just take a couple moments to watch this YouTube video so you understand a little bit more about the science behind commercials. Now, switching our tactic to physical therapy, let's talk about direct access. That's something that almost every state in the country now has, is some form of direct access. Hopefully Missouri will have a more unrestricted one soon. Kansas has a pretty decent one right now. Hopefully we'll get full unrestricted direct access at a later date, but for now it's what we have. But this study, and feel free to click on it and check it out, this study talks about whether patients went into physical therapy via physician referral or direct access. And it went over 5 years, so 2003 to 2007, and it was one insurance company kind of in the Midwest that looked at all adults aged 18 to 64 to see how many of those people were utilizing physical therapy services and what that did. The study showed that people that visited PT directly, so the direct access kind of group for outpatient care, had fewer visits and overall lower cost on average than those who were referred by a physician. And that could be twofold. Maybe the PT thought that the patient only needed so many visits versus those that were referred by a doctor were told to be seen 3 times a week for the next 8 weeks or something along those lines. So that's a possibility. If we look at the overall costs, it could also be the fact that you're not having to pay for the physician payment first in addition to the physical therapy services. So there's other costs associated with having to see a physician first to come to physical therapy. They also showed that the healthcare use did not increase in the self-referred group, and it didn't seem like the continuity of care was hindered by any means as well. So in the end, this article said that the role of physician gatekeeper in regard to PT may be unnecessary in the future. So it's a great argument for direct access. And I know that Missouri continues to keep fighting for this and trying to get direct access. And this is one of those things that, if you're talking to your legislators about why direct access is important, this might be a really good study to show them. So concrete data as to why it's important. I do think that we have other data out there now, since there are so many more states that are doing direct access, but keep that in mind that this might be a good article to use in the future. So you want to make sure that you're positioning your practice for the market. So thinking about why people would choose us. And there's all kinds of reasons. We've discussed this earlier in our semester. So it might be just because we're in their insurance network. You are in close proximity to where I live or I work. I drive by here all the time, so it makes it easy. That's one that we hear a lot of time. Maybe because you take early or late appointments, that's helpful for them because they need some specific times. Maybe there's an expertise of the staff that your patient is looking for, and you've got that you can share. Maybe specialty programs that you offer. Efficient, cost-effective care. So again, in the last two slides that we talked about with that study, if we can show that utilizing physical therapy services directly might be cheaper than going the physician route, then we could be potentially saving our patients quite a bit of money. Maybe your reputation in the community or the area is such that people are seeking you out, and then customer loyalty also plays a big role in that as well. So UnitedHealthcare did a study of all their patients that were seen for musculoskeletal issues in a given year. And this was quite a few years back, maybe about 10 years or so ago. But it was a way for them to kind of research and look at how people were utilizing different services that UnitedHealthcare offered. So just for a second, I want you to think about, before you move to the next slide, how many of those patients might be seen in physical therapy. So do you think it was 25%, 50%, 75% of those patients that were seen? So keep in mind that these patients were seen by some sort of health professional for a musculoskeletal issue, and how many of those actually were then referred to or got to physical therapy one way or another. So the answer is less than 10%. So less than 10% of people that went into the healthcare system complaining of musculoskeletal issues actually ended up in PT. That's a problem. I mean, that's definitely a problem when we're the musculoskeletal experts and we can really help people get better and feel better. Why aren't they utilizing our services? So again, this is a great way to market to just the general population, to our doctors, to make sure that they realize the benefits that we can play in the whole healthcare system. Especially if you're talking to doctors and marketing to doctors, how do we become part of the team that can show why we can really help them out? So we want to think about how we position our practices for the market. You want to make sure that you're consistently communicating your strengths to the team, your referral sources, and to your consumers. So what is it that you do really well? So this goes back to our SWOT analysis that we were discussing earlier in the semester. So what are those strengths? Do they continue to be your strengths, or are you starting to slip in certain areas? And if those are still your strengths, how do you share that information? Nowadays we can use social media, our website, newsletters, whatever it might be, just letting people know what it is are your strengths. Making sure that you're capitalizing on competitor weaknesses. So maybe there's some sort of a downturn in the market. And I do think with COVID in the last year, we've been able to market ourselves differently maybe than other people have been. So how do you use that as a positive during this time? Making sure that you're developing any strategies to address internal weaknesses. So if there are some issues going on in-house, how do you make sure and kind of shore those issues up and clean those up so that they're not weaknesses anymore? And make sure that you understand what's going on with your customers as well as your competitors. So what's going on in the market? What are your customers looking for? What are they asking about? Keeping your eyes open and just paying attention to what's going on is going to be really important. And explore the low-hanging fruit. So if you have an easy way to get people in the door today, make sure that you're addressing that and go ahead and use that to just get people in the door. So that's that low-hanging fruit, something that's easy to get people in the door. Can be a really great way to either sell other services or make sure that those patients know to share your information with others that might be in their network as well. All right, neuromarketing. So how the brain perceives what it is that we think about and how we feel about certain things. So Antonio Damasio says we're not thinking machines that feel, but we are feeling machines that think. So we want to really focus on the actual customer. In marketing, and we've learned this the hard way over the years, it's best to talk about you and your. So what are we doing to help the patients out? Not all the fancy things that I can do and the fancy degrees that I have or the fancy equipment that I have, but what is it that I can really help them with? And how does that equate to them, right? So it's about their pain point. I can talk all day long about, some new piece of equipment or this new class that I have, but if they don't know how that's going to help them, it might not mean a darn thing to them if I say that. But if you can say, not if I say, I help people with back pain get better because I have, full Pilates suite and we can do all kinds of great exercises with you, versus, do you want to get back to running that 5K with all of your friends this spring? Great, we can help. That's where you go. Go to the things that they want to do in the life that they want to get back to. What is their pain point? So for that person, maybe it's just getting back into basic exercise. Maybe it's your ultra fit marathoner that wants to really get back into full-time activity but keeps hurting themselves. So how do you share your message such that it speaks to that person? So I want you to watch these Super Bowl commercials. Nothing recent, but these are some older ones, and kind of see, what is the message with them? How does it resonate with you? Is it about the product that they're selling, or is it about something different? And does it help you remember what it is that they're trying to sell? So take a few minutes and watch that. So again, the marketing messages. It's not about us, it's about them. So we want to make sure that whenever we're talking about our marketing message, and with this I also mean with the marketing message and the marketing piece that you guys are going to share with us, with the entire group, this is what we want to do. Make sure that you're sharing what it is that we can do to help our patients. And make it about them, not about the fancy equipment that I have and the cool things that I can do and the new Graston certification that I have, whatever it might be. That's not what we want to see here. We want to see, how can what I'm doing help them? What is their pain point? What is it that you could say that you can do, and what is it they're going to get out of that? So that's how you want to think about what we can do for them. And makeover messaging. One thing that's really good to do is like using testimonials. So letting somebody else tell the story can be really helpful in letting people see how that can be a benefit to them. So, like weight loss pictures, especially early in the year, like this time of year. If that's something that speaks to you, like, gosh, over the last year, I really have put on some weight because I'm not being near as active, and wow, look at that person and how much weight they lost. That's who I want to be, and that's what I want to do. Those before and after pictures are very telling. Or, maybe it's, somebody that, comes in wearing a knee brace, and you can just tell by their gait that they're having trouble walking. And then in the end, you see them, sprinting across the parking lot, or, finishing their 5K that they've been wanting to do. Whatever it is, you can show those pictures in video or pictures that shows people the before and after, what they can do. So make sure that you're really figuring out what their true pain point is, and then talk about your unique service proposition. So this is where you can put a little bit in here about what it is that you can do to help them. But again, it's all got to be centered around what their pain point actually is. So making sure that you're discussing that first versus just going into what you can do to help them. So talk about the unique service proposition briefly, and then demonstrate what's going to happen. So what are the gains that they're going to get? What are the benefits they're going to get? And then make sure that you're impacting as many stimuli as you can. So in the commercials, you can see it's definitely going on all sorts of emotional different levels, but how we think, how we feel, what we see, what we smell, any of those kinds of things, what does that look like, and how does that help somebody? So we have 6 key stimuli that we want to think about. At the end of the day, we're all self-centered, so we all want it to be about us. We want to know how we can do things better. How can I run a faster split time? How can I lift more weights? How can I get healthier? How can I be able to walk around the block with my grandkids or go to the park with my grandkids? So again, it's all about me. So we want to make sure that we're looking at that. And by me, I mean I'm the patient, right? So making sure that it's self-centered, your marketing messages around whoever the consumer is, whoever that is. And that could be the physician if you're marketing to them, or specifically about the patient. And most of the time it makes more sense to go with the patient, because if we think about the same kind of marketing messages that the pharmaceutical industry is doing, patients can't go out and get those drugs. They have to go to their doctor to get them. But we can do the same thing even in states that don't have full direct access. We can tell people that physical therapy is what they need. Now they can go to their doctor and ask for a script to come in. So we can use that as well. Again, contrasting that before and after. So we talked about, those pictures, something along those lines. Something that makes it easy for somebody to select. So, you give them the story and they're like, yes, that's me. That's what I want. Thinking about the Budweiser commercial, the beginning and the end. So how do they start the story? What does it make you feel like? And then how do they end the story? And then how do you feel like there? Visual stimuli is 40 times faster than auditory. And so we see that with just general social media these days. We're much more apt, if we're scrolling through social media, to maybe stop at something that has some sort of pictures or some sort of visual input there. So some sort of like short video. And for me, even, I like it if the video is there with the words underneath it, so I don't actually have to listen to it, but I can see it and read it, and that's good for me. But visual is 40 times faster than auditory. So if somebody just wants to be able to see something and like, oh wow, that really speaks to me, I think that's a great thing, whatever that thing is that somebody's selling. And then emotion, humor, shock, and awe. Those are also things that help sell things. So when you're doing your marketing piece, it's not that you're going to hit all 6 of these buttons, but you just want to think about these as we go through. And then think about it too whenever you're watching commercials, or if you see something online and something kind of pulls at you or tugs at you, which of these stimuli are they using to kind of get you interested in it? It's a fascinating kind of look at the way our brain operates. Messaging. So a lot of times less can be more. Maybe using hyperlinks, it allows people to click and learn more if they want. You have to make sure that you know who you're targeting, so you're giving them the information that they want. Then they can go and learn more if they need more. So there's 7 impact boosters that really help with your marketing message. Using the word you and yours, so again, it makes it personal about them. Maximizing your credibility with maybe like expressions or creativity in the way we talk about things. So maybe we're not going to say, oh, we do manual therapy, because what does that really mean? What does that mean to people? We all know what it means, but most of our consumers have no idea what manual therapy actually is. They might think of massage maybe, and that would make more sense to them, but manual therapy probably does not mean much to people. And I see a lot of times, and we've been guilty of it too, and there's probably a couple spots on our website that it's still there where we use, we do manual therapy. We've tried to remove some of those inferences, because that doesn't mean anything to patients, and they have no idea what that is. And I don't really know what they think it might be, manual. So maybe it is that we read a manual to understand how to help them, and that's certainly not what we do. I would think most of us would say we don't want to be cookie cutter therapists. So we're not reading a manual. So thinking about how it looks from the consumer's eyes, as well as what we think it means, or what we know it means, to what the patients would perceive that it means. Using some sort of contrast. So again, it's that before and after kind of picture. Anything that generates emotion is going to be really important. So if you have, you're wanting to work with moms after delivery of their babies, and due to diastasis recti, they're not able to play with their kids as well on the floor, and you're able to help them do that, and they can get back on the floor and easily get up off the floor, and they're feeling better, their back's not hurting now. That's definitely can generate some emotion behind that, if mom wants to play down on the floor with the kids and isn't able to because of some of these issues. Making sure that you're varying the learning styles. So again, people are going to learn in different ways. And you can start to think about too, what are the things when you look at social media, because that's probably the #1 way that most of us get advertising these days. What is it that speaks to you and makes you go, ooh, and makes you look at it just a little bit longer? Is it the visual? Is it the story behind it? Is it the contrast? So just thinking about which of those kind of means a lot to you. And that's just good to keep in mind for what it is that we see every day. So talking a little bit further about marketing, you have to look at your practice metrics. You want to know where your referrals are coming from and find out all the ways that someone came to see you, so you can start to determine what of your marketing messaging is working and what do you need to change or tweak. Or maybe you start to see that your referrals are coming from, some specific specialist, and initially you weren't planning on kind of specializing one certain area, and now you know that it looks like you are, just because of the number of people that are coming in your doors. How do you tweak your marketing message to take care of that? So it's really important to know all the ways that someone came to see you. So whether it's that they came to see you because of some ad you put out on Facebook, or whether it's because their friend down the street told them to come see you, or maybe it's because their doctor said, I have to come see you. There's all kinds of different reasons, and it's good to know this so you understand that. What are your specific growth objectives? How much more do you want to grow in the next quarter? That's really important to help you understand where you need to be. And it's really important to understand where you currently are and where your potential customer base could be. So anytime companies are looking at this, they want to look at, okay, where are we now and where do we want to be, and are we aligning with what we want to do? So with our patients, we want to know what it is they value and what they want. So again, it goes back to that same kind of messaging. And knowing who our exact target is, and we'll get into this just in a little bit. Seth Godin in the book about the purple cow talks about how do we offer a purple cow, or something that stands out as special and unique. And there's a story of a clinic, and this isn't all that unheard of anymore, but this clinic has a dog, their therapy dog, and they've named it Rocket. And so it's just a cool thing that people are excited to come in and see Rocket the therapy dog. They might not be so excited to come in and do their PT, but they want to see the dog. So that's the thing that draws them in and keeps them coming back. Learn about your competition and maybe what it is they're doing. You don't have to necessarily have a therapy dog, but what's the thing that makes it cool or fun for them to be there? Identify your most valuable assets, and typically that should be your staff. So what are your staff bringing to the table? What kind of resources do they have? What kind of things are they involved in? How can you share their story a little bit as well? And then remember, customer service is huge, so that goes a long way. I love it when I hear that my patient tells me how much they love our front office staff or our billing staff, or gosh, everybody here is so friendly and smiling, even though we're all under masks, but you can tell by your eyes that you're smiling at somebody, or they all say hi to you. It means a lot and makes it a really good experience for everybody that's there. Marketing is all about relationship building. Your patients want you to help them make decisions. So they're coming to you not because they have all the answers, but because they're hoping you have some of the answers and can help them. So how do we know exactly what it is that our patients want? We have to ask questions. It's the same thing that we do whenever we're doing an evaluation, right? They come in to see us for their, say their shoulder pain. It's been bothering them for a really long time. We start asking a bunch of questions, and maybe we start to come up with a hypothesis like, okay, is this really a shoulder issue? Is it maybe a neck issue? You got to ask questions and figure out what it is that people really want. So here's one thing that I want you to start thinking about when it comes to your patient that you're building your practice for this semester. Who is your perfect patient? It's also really important to know too, we don't all get the perfect job our first go round. Sometimes when we're first starting out, we just want to be a bit of a generalist and see a little bit of everything, or maybe that's what the market's bearing out, just based on where you're located and what openings are available at the time. But I want you to start to think about who is your perfect patient. So this is good for you to think about personally as well as in your group for your project. Who is your perfect patient? So what does that person look like? Are they male? Are they female? Are they young? Are they old? Are they healthy and active? Or are they dealing with chronic pain and you want to help them with that? You need to know and understand them. What is their favorite workout? Are they able to work out? Do they want to work out? What's their biggest stressor? So is is finances their biggest stressor, or maybe for the grandparents, maybe their biggest stressor is they want to be able to keep up with their grandkids and they're not able to do that. What is their biggest fear? Maybe that their children are going to leave them behind, or that this pain is going to be here forever. What is that fear that they have? How do they tend to spend their free time? You got to know, excuse me, what they enjoy doing, what they like to do, and know what they do in their free time. Do they like to travel? So make sure that you get to know your patient inside and out so you can understand what it is that who that person truly is. So we have this empathy map that we're going to discuss next. And you can scroll in a little bit closer to see, but we have a couple different areas here. And so we have, kind of the thinking and feeling box up here. So you want to know, what is your patient? So that perfect patient that we just talked about a second ago, what do they think and what do they feel? What really counts to them? What are their major preoccupations? Maybe what are their worries or their aspirations? Next is, what is it? Describe what they see. So like, what is their environment? They live in a condo downtown, they live in an apartment, they own a large house with 6 bedrooms and 3 kids. What does their environment look like? Who are their friends? What does the market offer them? So, if they're wanting to get back to activities, is it that they love doing their bar class, or they love doing CrossFit, and that's their activities and the things that they really love to do? Next, what do they hear? What do friends say? Maybe what are they telling them? Like, hey, you need to go see my chiropractor. Hey, you need to see my massage therapist. Hey, I've got a great physical therapist for you to see. Oh, you should join me at CrossFit. I think that would help with your back pain. I had back pain before and that would really help. Maybe what does their boss say? What do influencers say? So again, people they're looking at in social media, if they see pictures of these thin people and they're wanting to lose, some weight, what are they saying that they should be doing? So that might really influence them. And what do they say or do? So what's their attitude in public? What is their appearance? What's their behavior towards others? That's really important to understand as well. What is their pain? So what is it that they're dealing with right now so that you understand where they are? So what are their fear, frustrations, and obstacles? And then what is their gain? So what do they get out of coming to work with you? What are they hoping to see? What would be their measure of success? So is it that my pain is completely gone? Is it that somebody actually listened to me and understood me? What is it? You just need to know what that is so that you can help make the message for that patient. So compassion versus empathy. They're not really the same, although there is some relation between the two. Empathy refers to our ability to take the perspective of and feel the emotions of another person. Compassion is when we have the feeling and thoughts to include the desire to help. We want to make sure that we're teaching empathy to each other and to ourselves, and be empathetic towards each other, because we have to understand what somebody else is going through in order to be able to help them. If you don't get there, that's going to be really difficult. And if we think about this empathy map that we just did, thinking, feeling, seeing, saying, and doing, that really helps us understand the other person that we're dealing with. So again, in that empathy map, the C, what does their world look like? Who is surrounding them? Who is in their network? What types of offers are available to them? What problems encountered when they're trying to choose a solution? And what else might be out there? So for some of these people, hospitals now are doing commercials all day long. So KU Medical Center, Olathe Health System, Advent Health, they're all putting their messaging out there. What about other private clinics? Whether that's on TV or social media, they're putting their stuff out there. The drug ads, again, that's really important too. If people can take a pill, pop a pill and feel better, is that what they want? What about those late night infomercials that have self-care gadgets that they can see? Or internet videos when it says, do these 5 exercises and your back pain will go away forever. And then what are their false beliefs about this kind of stuff? Next one is hear. So what does the patient hear? What are their friends saying? Maybe about the value of PT. So if one of their friends had a bad time going to PT in the past, that might skew what they'd want to do as far as trying PT, because if they know somebody had a bad experience, they don't want to do that and go through that too. and then thinking about who really influences their decisions. What do they think and feel? What is really important to them that maybe they're not going to say out loud, but you have to understand, like maintaining independence or mobility. A lot of people won't necessarily say that out loud. And maybe as they get older, they might say, hey, I really want to be able to stay in my house for as long as possible. But understanding how to kind of work through the messaging of what it is that they're sharing with you. Maybe it's their self-worth for whatever reason. I mean, I see a lot of people in chronic pain, and a lot of people that have back pain. And thank goodness I don't hear this as much now as I did previously, but a lot of doctors would tell them, well, if you would lose weight, your back pain would feel better. Well, and this is what I tell every one of those people that come in and tell me that. And I said, well, I can see 100-pound 35-year-old female that has back pain just as much as I could see, a 200-pound 35-year-old female that has back pain. It's not about the weight, it's how your body manages it. So yes, is it easier to manage if you have less weight? Sure, but that doesn't, just because you don't have the weight on your body doesn't mean the back pain doesn't mean the back pain's just automatically going to go away. So you have to keep that in mind. What are the messages that are going out there, and what is it that they're thinking? And if somebody has told them that in the past, that's going to stick in their head to how they should react or behave, or how they should answer some of your questions whenever you're evaluating them. Their emotions, we have to think about that too. What would move them towards you? So if they want to avoid surgery or avoid losing fitness, maybe they want to get faster out on the track. Maybe they want to make their basketball team, whatever it might be. You want to just make sure that you're understanding all those opportunities for your patients. What do they say and do? So what is their attitude towards health versus money? So is cost really an issue? And a lot of times it's really not. So many people are willing to, put down $1,000 to buy a new iPhone, but they don't think about spending $1,000 towards their overall health that can help them have a much happier life in the end. So we just have to make sure that we're understanding what their real issue is. Is it just that I have insurance and I feel like they should have to pay for all of it? That can be a sticking point for some people, but you just have to make sure that you understand what their challenges are, and why they might have issues with that. I think it's getting a little bit easier because so many patients do have costs out of pocket that they're having to pay these days. Whereas when I first started out in therapy, hardly anybody ever had a bill because insurance almost paid for everything. Or if they did, it would be so minimal. But now again, with that cost sharing that insurance companies are now doing, patients are having to pay more and more out of pocket. What is their biggest frustration? Is it physical pain, mental pain? Is it maybe financial pain? What are their aspirations? Are there any concerns that they have specifically about that? What might be standing in their way? Is it that they don't think that it can happen? So for those people that have had chronic pain, nobody's really believed that they have pain because they look okay on the outside. Nobody really understands what it is that they're going through. They've been through so many different doctors and other providers before. Can you really help? So they're scared to put any faith in anybody because, they've been dealing with it for so long. Can it really change? What risks might they fear? So what if they felt like they were wasting time or spend money that didn't really help them in the long run? What obstacles might stand in their way? And this is kind of what we alluded to in the last slide. Most people have cash flow, not cash problems. So most people have the money, it's just how they're willing to spend the money. Because again, they can buy that new iPhone that just came out, but then when we talk about spending money on healthcare that could benefit them for much longer than what that cell phone might last, people aren't necessarily always keen to want to do that. And then thinking about what do they stand to gain? What do they truly want or need to achieve? Usually it's more than about just easing the pain, because when you get down to it, there's more than that. Because if somebody's been in pain for a long time, there's a lot of psychological and emotional baggage that comes with that. So yes, you can get their pain feeling better, and that's great. And I think that that's fantastic that we can do that, and we do that. But what's that next level that they really, really want to get to now that they're like, wow, I never even thought of a world without pain. I didn't even know that was a possibility. And that's the really cool thing, is that we can really help them envision what their future might look like. How would they measure the success of your treatment? So again, It could just be initially, oh, I want to have less pain, but we teach our staff, you got to dig deeper. It's more than just that. Initially, that might be the first thing they're going to say, but there's something else that's spurring them on to wanting to feel better besides just, easing the pain. So I can get a full night's sleep so that I can play with my kids the next day, so that I don't have my migraines every week, so that I can go out to the park and run around on the playground with my kids. For some, it might be that I can go out and play a full round of golf and go out for drinks afterwards. So the measure of success is going to be very different. It's not just pain gone or pain less. It's what's that next thing that they want to be able to do. Think of some of the things that you might be currently using to try to achieve their goals, or that they might be currently using. So chiropractors, pills, seeing other doctors, looking on YouTube to see what exercises they should do. There's all kinds of different ways that people do this. So the purpose of marketing is to drop the solution into the lap of the perfect patient. Maybe right now the solution is just to give them the information to help them make a better decision, gain confidence and trust in their decision, and know that PT would be a great solution for them. It's good for them to see what those options are and help them understand that. But really our job is to help them make decisions for the patients. Patients kind of get stuck in that loop, and it's really easy to look at 20 different options. And you're talking to your friends, you're talking to your family, looking at the internet, looking online at exercises to do. And sometimes somebody needs to just step in and say, here's what we need to do. Here's how we're going to handle this. And kind of really help people make a decision. I see people get stuck in that analysis by paralysis, or paralysis by analysis, I think is what it is, where people have too many options and they don't even know what to do, so they just sort of get stuck there. We just need to help them get to that next level. So 4 questions that you want to think about and answer. What is the end result that your ideal patient wants to achieve? So again, it's not usually about pain, it's about something else. What do they need to get this end result? What is the biggest fear that's preventing them from making that decision? If it's physical therapy, maybe if their friends have told them that PT didn't work for them, are they now going to be really hesitant, and that's going to be an issue with getting them to convincing them that that's a good decision? What can you give them that will move them closer to that end result? So what's the information that they need to make the right decision for them? All right, and then social media. We can use, obviously, social media to our advantage, and it's becoming easier and easier to do, although you have to understand the algorithms that go into the different social media channels, but it's a great way to directly speak to our audience. It can be used for free. I mean, obviously you can do some paid advertising, but you can certainly use it for free. And just making sure that we're finding the channels that our perfect patient is actually using. So you want to make sure that you're using the appropriate channel for them, not the appropriate channel for you. Great, so now after discussing all that we have about marketing today, I want you to work on that empathy map with your group. Use that map to determine how to market to your perfect patient. And then this will allow you to make the brochure for your clinic and for your patients based on this information. So I wanted to speak to who it is that you're talking to and why you deem that the services that you're going to provide are going to be helpful for that person. So here's a copy of that map, one more time just in case you need it. So think through those different things, put together your marketing brochure for your clinic, and I look forward to seeing what you offer whenever you guys present in the next few weeks.